On today's show, the LA Clippers fell short at Staples Center for the second consecutive game against the Los Angeles Lakers. What went so wrong, and where are we now as we close this 8-game road trip? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, and in my 20th season as a Clipper fan. Been covering the Clippers for 5 years here on Locked On. 5 years on my own personal YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, and 3 years here with the Locked On Podcast Network as the host of Locked On Clippers. Make sure you subscribe to both YouTube channels for my analysis and takes. And of course, Locked On Clippers is brought to you by FanDuel today. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. And Locked On Clippers has a daily newsletter written by yours truly. Just go to LockedOnDaily.com to sign up. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the game, our second straight loss against the Lakers. We've now lost the season series to them 3-1. I'm going to be talking about our offensive struggles, which in my opinion were the reason that we lost the game. Kawhi Leonard having his best game since returning. And just the overall big picture of what these two losses mean. So I said before we went into these two games, our return to Staples Center or Crypto.com Arena, whatever you call it. I still call it Staples Center for the nostalgia of it all. We needed to get a split, or not necessarily needed to, but it would have been nice to get a split. And here I was saying, maybe I'm being too pessimistic talking about if we're going to go 0-2. And, the haters are going to say, you spoke it into existence. Yeah, sure. But I did offer, what if we go 2-0? And we did not. We didn't even get to go 1-1. And I think the first thing we got to talk about is our offense. Let's start with some big plays late in the game that I thought hurt us. One, forget offense for just a second. So, okay, sorry to make that contradiction, but no rebounds, no rings. You see, this is what I tell all the kids that I coach. And this applies to every single basketball team, at least in my opinion. This is how I do things. There are a couple principles that my teams live by. One, no rebounds, no rings. Every single team that I coach, every single team that plays basketball should play with that kind of mentality because it is what it is. It's the truth. If you don't rebound, you will not win at any level. That possession that we gave up, 3 to 4 offensive rebounds that resulted in a LeBron James 3 that made it, I believe, 96-86. That was a backbreaker, and the moment I knew that we were not going to win this game, even with the little run we made late, that is the moment I knew we were not going to win because you don't win games against good teams when you do things like that. You have to capitalize. You have to end possessions with rebounds. Then, another philosophy, defense wins chips. You won't find bad defensive teams that win chips. At best, you'll find mediocre defensive teams in the regular seasons, but then they turn it up in the playoffs and they're not a mediocre defensive team, a la the 2023 Nuggets or the 2016 Cavs. 2016 Cavs might be the worst defensive team I've seen in my 20 years of fandom, but they weren't bad. They had to clamp down. They had to lock in. So bad defensive teams don't win trophies at any level. I've never even seen a bad defensive team win in the local rec league that I've coached. So rebounding and defense. We do the defense part pretty well. Rebounding, that was big. Now another big possession, the goaltend call. I wish they hadn't called it because if we had gotten the rebound, Kawhi was right under the basket and would have gotten fouled by Luka, would have been 2 free throws. Now, Kawhi's free throw shooting has been a little suspect lately, but if he makes the free throws, we're only down by 3, 104-107, I believe. Yeah, and there's 29 seconds left, so we can get a stop, maybe get another chance at a 3. But that being said, the reason why we lost is because our offense wasn't good enough, and our three-point shooting continues to be really bad. 31% from 3 for us. They shot 43%. Now, if you're wondering, well, who was generating better looks? I'd say definitely them because this is the fact of the matter right now. Kawhi Leonard outplayed LeBron in this game, but LeBron James and Luka Doncic, as of March 3rd, 2025, are the 2 best players in Los Angeles. Kawhi Leonard has not played well enough to make a claim to be better than those guys. And James Harden is definitely not better than those guys. So, that being said, we are at a disadvantage in that matchup, especially with the return of Norman Powell and him getting injured again. That was really concerning, ladies and gentlemen. 9 minutes into the game, he's 1 for 5 and 0 for 3 from deep, and his right hamstring was sore and experienced some discomfort. So, and he even posted on his Instagram story, kind of like, I forget exactly what he said, but like, damn it, So I'm a little concerned. I don't see Norm playing that next game on Tuesday against the Phoenix Suns. And it's a huge concern because it just feels as though every single game is played without one of our top 4 guns. Every single game. And it's like not just this year, like every year. And last year, we actually had the longest run in the regular season of us having like our stars healthy. And then in the playoffs, of course, it didn't materialize. So it's just been that kind of experience for Ty Lue as a Clippers head coach. He just can't get everybody on the court, and it makes it hard for him. And he's not exempt of blame by any means, but still, it's very hard for him. To me, he has the toughest job in the league because of that. Because no other coaches have to quite deal with that. I guess you can say the Detroit Pistons with Cade Cunningham, but not even, because Cade Cunningham is one guy. They really rely on Cade. We've had Paul George injured. Now Norman Powell's going through this. It's a lot. So, but that was unfortunate to see Norm go out. What I was going to say was that the Lakers are generating better shots because they have the 2 best players, and we are throwing 2 on the ball. Luka and LeBron are matchup issues. They get their guys open shots. Even though James Harden does do a good job of getting our guys open shots, but they were just getting better looks, in my opinion. Some of the shots that Bogey took weren't good shots. And he finally started making them late, but he was getting frustrating too. 4 for 16 from the field, 4 for 11 from 3 for Bogey. If he doesn't shoot well, and I admired his effort, but if he doesn't shoot well, then we made a bad trade then. Because he's not a better defender than Terrence. He can put the ball on the floor and make plays, but he gets a lot of opportunities to hit open shots and make his shots, and he's missing a lot. And I'm afraid that Ty is going to play too much into that. He got 31 minutes in this game, but he was a plus 10. But again, I'm not a big fan of single game plus minus. 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. I don't know. I just don't. He got us back in the game a little bit in the fourth quarter to get us to the point where that goaltend thing mattered, but it was a little too late for me. 4 for 16 is not good, however you slice it. 25% from the field, and a lot of those are decent looks. But, yeah, I would be so our offense wasn't good enough, but I want to get to the root of it all. James Harden and Ivica Zubac's not getting the ball enough. James Harden came out with that same I'm the guy kind of mentality in the first half. It was nauseating to watch, honestly. I can't even lie. Kawhi Leonard was like 2 for 3. James Harden was 0 for 2, and he hadn't shot bad shots the first 2 shots. And then his third shot is like a 20-dribble, step-back 3 air ball with the defense loaded up on him. And I'm just like, dude, it's not your team to do this anymore. It's time for you to play through Kawhi, to play through Zoo. And James, this is why when you go back and you look at my first couple episodes before James Harden played a game for the Clippers, and I said, the reason why I cringed at the whole system comment is not because I don't think James Harden is an all-time offensive engine. I cringe because I feel like he still thinks that living and dying by his way of playing basketball is a championship formula, and it's with the right pieces, and I don't think it is. I think he needs to really take a step back. Like last year he kind of did, and I feel like he's gotten back used to being the dude because he has been the dude, but Kawhi Leonard's shooting well. You just shot poorly last game. You're not shooting well in this game, and you're still choosing to do a little too much for me. You don't have to generate every time a shot down the court. Why don't you just give it to Zoo and dump it down and just go spot up? They're going to throw 2 on the ball, so you're going to get the ball. Then we can make a play. James Harden and Luka at times when he was a Dallas Maverick, now it's been way more unselfish on the Lakers' part. LeBron at times when he was a Cav, even when he was a Laker, they feel like they have to create a shot every time down for their team, and they don't have to all the time. It's like an inherent selfishness to me because you still make a pass and everybody thinks that's great, but they think it's either they think that their teammates cannot create shots or they just believe that they're the best at it, which they are, but it's like sometimes you got to let other people cook. That's kind of what it comes down to for me. So I'm not happy with James Harden's approach. He was terrible in both these games, and we needed him to be better. He was terrible. And he's starting to get fatigued, and you can see it. Even Harden's own fans are telling me that he's getting fatigued, and we're at that exact same time of the year that we were last year. And he's had way more to do this year. So here's the thing about Harden. he is gassed, and I'm not giving him a pass, but I'm sympathizing with him in that regard because he's playing every game. But he needs to take a step back. He's still trying to play his way, and he already plays the hard way. He already plays a taxing style that's cost him playoff series. I promise. Any Harden fan, you can attribute it to other reasons as well. I'm not saying it's the playing style solely that has cost him rings, but he puts a lot on himself playing this way. Any heliocentric guy is gonna do that. That's why this style of play for me is not it, and why I thought that James Harden, as good as he is not going to make us a championship team. I just thought he would make us closer to a championship team. We'd have a bigger crash in the playoffs, but last year Kawhi got hurt, so we know that. But the Zubats thing, 2 times he shot the ball in the first half, 8 times in the game. The reason why we won the second half is because we remember that he's on our team. I watched the whole first half. I didn't even remember he was playing. Look, the Lakers are going to switch a lot, right? Jackson Hayes is switching on to Harden, or whoever is switching on to Harden, and Zubats has someone else. Harden needs to start thinking, you know what? I have a mismatch, but Zoo might have a better mismatch. Or maybe I have a better mismatch, but it's not the time right now. I got to conserve for later. We got to start thinking these things, because 5 for 8 from the field in 34 minutes is ridiculous for a guy who's playing like that and just came off a 27-16 game. 12-9. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. You want to hear Harden's stat line? 2 turnovers? You want to hear Harden's stat line? 13 points, 2 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers on 4 for 14 shooting, 2 for 9 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. It's time for James Harden to defer a little bit more to Kawhi. And someone's going to say he only shot 14 shots, Kawhi shot 23. I'm okay with Kawhi shooting 25 to 30 with Norm not playing with the way this is going. But the Clippers lost 108 to 102. Coming up, we're going to talk more about Kawhi Leonard and the bright spot of this game. But ultimately, if I had to attribute it, our offense was not good enough. Starts with James Harden. Starts with us not looking for Zoo enough, which is coaching staff plus James Harden. And we needed more from guys like Amir Coffey, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and we didn't get them with Derrick Jones Jr., Ben Simmons out, and Norman Powell going out early. Coming up, Kawhi Leonard. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Right now, the odds to the NBA Finals, the Celtics are plus 170. They're the leaders. Oklahoma City Thunder plus 190. Cleveland Cavaliers plus 700. So it's clearly Celtics Thunder as the favorite. Then you got the Nuggets, Lakers, and Knicks behind them. So go to FanDuel for all these kinds of things. Division winners and all that. Clippers are third right now with plus 4,800 odds of the division. I would not bet on that. No offense to us. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, back here in Los Angeles to talk about the Clippers losing to the Lakers and losing the season series 3-1. And that's something that's been very rare for us the last 12 years, is losing the season series to the Lakers. It just hasn't been a thing. But, you know, I grew up with us losing the season series to the Lakers without question every single season. So it is what it is. Last year, we lost the season series 3-1, actually. That was the first time we lost the season series since I think 2012, if I'm not mistaken. We tied in 2020, 2-2. But let's talk about Kawhi, right? So in my opinion, the reason why we lost this game is because our offense wasn't good enough. We didn't make some big plays late. We had 7 minutes. I can't believe I didn't mention that in this first segment, and I should mention it before I get into the Kawhi stuff. We had 7 minutes to close the second quarter without a point. It was 43-47. And then we brought in, because Norman, Derrick Jones Jr., and Ben Simmons are all out, I thought we'd just go 8 deep with Nico, Bogey, Amir, and then maybe Eubanks, being our only bench players. But out of nowhere, we put in Jordan Miller and Kobe Brown in like one of the biggest games of the season. They played 5 minutes each, and they both had 0 points. They both were 0 for 1. They both got 1 rebound, and they were both -9. So yeah, those weren't great minutes, to be honest. Went into the half, down 43-56. We got outscored in the second quarter, 22-15. And I have to say that first quarter, when James Harden came out, in the beginning of the second, I thought the offense was better, and it was starting with Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard was not missing in that second quarter, but I thought it took him a while to be like, yo, give me the ball. Because there was one time he had Dalton connect on him in the corner, and he just like didn't go get the ball. And James Harden wasn't in. So it's like, dude, you need to go back to demanding the ball. And I think he's not been doing that yet, but I also think it's because he hasn't felt like he's in a position to do that yet with the way he's playing, but now we're starting to see it. And this is great, ladies and gentlemen, Clipper Nation. We finally had Kawhi score over 30 points in a game. And I remember what I said. 4 straight games of, was it 25 or more points or 20 or more points? Please correct me in the comments because I'm starting to get, my short-term memory is not like my long-term memory. I'll just say that. Was it 20 or more points or 25 or more points in 4 straight games? Because I'll tell you, right now, this was his first 30-plus point game of the season, and he's had 4 out of his last 5 games be 20 or more. So we are starting to get closer to maybe we can get that Kawhi again. He increased his average with last night's scoring game to 18 points a game now. So we're trending in the right direction with Kawhi, which is a silver lining to this loss. But we need to start playing through him now. And later in the game, they started throwing 2 on the ball with Kawhi, but he's got to get rid of it quicker. But it was really encouraging. Knocking down his contested shots, getting into his Kawhi spots more, which is, dribbling into that 15, 14-foot range to the point where you're getting a Kawhi mid-range that feels like a layup. His defense was still just okay. Nothing jumps off the page there. But for me, we need his offense more than we need his defense right now. His and one turn the corner on Jackson Hayes was impressive. And it just was his best game yet. It really looked good. I just think, as I said so many times already, Harden needs to play through him. Because what we saw when Harden came back in the game in the second quarter, it was rough. It was rough. And look, he did play with a lineup with Jordan Miller, Kobe Brown. It wasn't that easy, but he had Bogey out there as well. Like, Zoo needs to be looked at as a guy that can create. If he's going to draw double teams, that's an advantage for us. When we go 7 minutes without a point, any double team is helpful. But Kawhi, yeah, he was awesome. He was really awesome. It was really great to see that. The fourth quarter, we went on a 22-7 run led by he and Zoo. So really great stuff in that regard. 33 points, 10 rebounds, 3 turnovers for the Claw. No assists, though. That's got to change. 13 for 23 shooting. What a performance in terms of shooting the ball. 3 for 7 from 3, 4 of 5 from the foul line in, get this, 40 minutes. So that's obviously the most he's played this season. We tried to go out and win that game. It didn't happen, but it's good to see him play those 40 minutes because we're going to need big minutes from our best player. Newsflash. But yeah, that is the positive that I have to take from that. In terms of more game flow stuff, I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith was guarding Harden just like last game. LeBron on Kawhi Leonard. Jackson Hayes on Ivica Zubac. Gabe Vincent, who was starting in... Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, and I should mention it. Reeves and Hachimura didn't play. So, we didn't have some guys, but they didn't have some guys. And Austin Reeves is their 3rd best player. Rui Hachimura, you can argue, is their 4th best player. So, it was a winnable game. Right now, we're not betting the Lakers. The only thing I can say is maybe when everybody's healthy, but no non-Clipper fan is saying that. Only Clipper fans are saying when both teams are healthy, maybe the Clippers are better. They have Luka and LeBron on the same team now. They just got gifted this because of Rob Pelinka's relationship with Nico Harrison. It's an abomination to society and basketball in general, and it'll always be remembered as that. But it is what it is, right? What can you do? As Clipper fans that live in LA, or just Clipper fans in general, we have witnessed the Lakers getting some cheese. But it's just so annoying. Luka against us, he played really, really solid yesterday. LeBron, we actually did a good job on. He didn't have as good of a game, but 29 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, 9 and 6 turnovers though for Luka on 9 for 17 shooting and 5 for 12 from 3, 6 for 9 from the free throw line. He gave us a familiar sight in that first quarter with those threes against Zoo on the switch. Very familiar sight. But we weathered the storm really nicely, and we forced 9 Laker turnovers in the first quarter that got us back in the game. But yeah, Luka on the Lakers, it's ridiculous. Like, our biggest nemesis is now on the Lakers. Clippers' biggest nemesis is now on the Lakers. We have to see them 4 times a year, and that with them, it's just 2025 has been a nightmare. I just don't get how it can. As a Clipper fan, you just never know what new bad thing is going to happen. Coming up, let's talk about our situation after these 2 games and then some more details about the game. What are we looking like going forward? Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you can score a huge deal the next day. And I'll tell you what, I already used that when Steph scored 50 plus the other day, because I've been using DoorDash so much since my house burned down. I don't have, I don't got the same facilities. I don't got my mom, no home cooking anymore. So I need to get some more DoorDash. And with the Dash Pass and the 50-point deal, I got a discount and I got some nice breakfast for way less than I would have actually been paying. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. All right, Clippers losing 108 to 102 against the Lakers. We lose the season series against them 3-1, and we are now 2-5 on this road trip, with the losses coming to the Lakers twice, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Detroit Pistons, and the Indiana Pacers. We got one more game against the Phoenix Suns on Tuesday, who are struggling even more so than the Clippers are. But let's continue talking about the game flow. So Jackson Hayes was in drop coverage against Harden, but he was still switching on to Kawhi, and that would allow LeBron to switch on to Zoo. We didn't really look to exploit, but there was one time, actually no, that was in the last game where Zoo about to hit the left-hand jump hook over LeBron. Yeah, we got to just look at when they switch that, especially now that teams are switching their 5s on to Kawhi, we got to throw the ball to Zoo against their 3s and 4s. But yeah, Luka got off to a hot start early. We were missing every open shot early, but I knew we would get back in the game because our process wasn't bad, and Luka was bound to cool down. I mean, the Lakers, on their 9-0 run that we answered with a 7-0 run, I mean, they were making some ridiculous shots. Dalton Connect made a step back 3 with a hand in his face, and he's been struggling immensely the last couple of weeks. And of course, he has a 19-point game on 70% shooting and over 50% from 3. 7 for 10 from the field and 5 for 8 from 3. And then Dorian Finney-Smith hit a turnaround jump shot with the shot clock winding down like he was Kobe freaking Bryant in the late first quarter. Like, wow. That's just, ridiculous shots. That's not normal for them. So I'm okay with that. And I knew that's why we would get back in the game. Although Dalton, when he gets really hot, he can hit those, but he hasn't been really hot in a while. Chris Dunn, he was, again, besides I'm sorry I didn't mention this already, 3 wide open threes in the fourth quarter. Any one of them would have changed the game drastically. He didn't hit them. And I love his defense. It's invaluable. And he was really good again. 15 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers on 7 for 12 shooting, but 1 for 5 from 3. That's the thing. I liked how he was going at Luka, trying to turn the corner. But we didn't exploit Dalton Connect or Luka Doncic quite enough. And the thing is, when teams see that we are trying to exploit a mismatch, they're going to do what every basketball team does when they see a mismatch. Send help, in which case we need to pass the ball fast, not wait until it's convenient. Kawhi, we need to get rid of it. James Harden, same thing, loading up, get rid of it. And then we can move the ball and make the defense rotate. But yeah, I think Chris Dunn was great. I just think if we want to look at the best mix between offense and defense, it's Derek Jones Jr. or Batum, honestly. Not Amir, because IQ-wise. And it's just hit or miss with him at times. 0 shot attempts in 22 minutes. Again, I stuck up for Brewmaster against Chicago. He was awful in these 2 games. 3 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, no turnovers. He wasn't horrific, but no shot attempts in 22 minutes. We got 25 points out of our bench in this one. They got 36. So again, for the second straight game, we lost the bench battle. Didn't have Ben Simmons, but he didn't play well in that first game either. Nico Batum, another game where I have to question things. He had the highest plus minus of anybody on our team, and he only played 16 minutes. Why does he have a cap at 16? He can't play 20 minutes? 6 points, 1 rebound, 2 steals on 2 for 3 shooting, and of course, all his shots were threes. I don't get it. He's a good defender. Let's see what his 3-point percentage is this season. 38. He's shooting 38% from 3. And we're not playing him more than 17 minutes. I just don't get it. I don't get it. But it is what it is. Yeah, his rebounds per 40 have gone from 7 to 6. So maybe that's why. Is it 'cause he doesn't rebound? I mean, I just think who's doing a great job rebounding on this team besides Zubats? And honestly, for his position, James Harden. Who else? Don't think really anyone. Chris Dunn. Yeah, Chris Dunn, I'd say. But those threes were killers. And, I mean, the trade-off with Chris Dunn is he's going to miss those threes. Then he had that steal at the end on Luka. It's like, how many guys are getting those kind of steals? And how many times did he strip LeBron in this game? LeBron was 6 for 17. 1 for 6 from 3. I mean, he was bound to have and 8 turnovers. He was bound to have a bad game, though. But you got to love it from Chris Dunn there. But the third foul he had, this would hurt us. He only played 29 minutes because he had that, or 27 minutes, because that third foul, he already had 2 fouls and he's picking up full court. Like, come on, dude. You got to be a little smarter than that. When LeBron came out of the game, we were blitzing Luka to try to get the ball out of his hands. And honestly, we did a good job with that strategy. When Luka was one-on-one, he was pretty much cooking us. And yeah, in the first quarter, we were living and dying with James Harden. I'm just reading some of the stuff I wrote in my notes. We were down 34-28 after 1. Second quarter, pretty much already mentioned everything. LeBron wasn't as hot. That contributed to us getting stops. We were forcing turnovers. But we didn't score in 7 minutes. So they closed the half on a 12-0 run. And you know what was crazy is the Lakers went up by 21 points because Luka was hitting step backs. They were going crazy. We didn't even lead for a second in the game. But we showed resilience. We kept fighting. And Kawhi especially, and Zubats finally throwing the ball to Zoo, and he's getting deeper post position. He's getting the ball into the basket. It's really good stuff. We just got to look for him. And we were starting to score. Bogey really could have helped us in that third quarter, but he was bricking everything, and then he finally started making shots late. But we were going into the fourth quarter with momentum, and I thought James Harden in that stretch actually started making quicker decisions, just being more decisive, getting in the paint, getting by guys. But the paint was clogged and the entry passes become harder when guys aren't making threes. So they're sagging off trying to deny the entry. But we didn't look for the entry passes enough. People are going to say, oh, there was no spacing. We couldn't get the ball to Zoo. That's not true. Go back and watch the tape. There were plenty of times we could have gotten the ball to him, especially when they're switching smaller guys onto him and James Harden is the entry passer. We can make the pass over the top if they're fronting. It's not a big deal. And if somebody's open on the weak side, if we can make the cross court, swing, get it to him, attack the closeout. We got to be more deliberate what we're doing. But we don't want to look for Zoo. That's like a third or fourth resort. That's the problem. Whatever, keep losing then. I'm telling you, we should consider, if we're going to not use Zubats, oh yeah, I'm not going to say it. It's not time for that. We'll do that episode later this week. But yeah, the Lakers were raining threes, man. That was hard when they were making threes and we weren't. And I did say they had a better quality looks, but we still got a lot of high quality looks too, and we just couldn't hit. But yeah, when you use Zubats, he's a good player. That's all I can say. We went to the Haka Jemison late in the game, the trade Jemison, Hack-a-Shack. He made 1 out of 2. And we outscored them 25-19 in the fourth. Our defense was good. Luka came back in, he was bricking. And then LeBron wasn't hitting. By the way, are we going to need to play Patty Mills if Bogdanovich keeps missing threes like this? I don't know. Drew Eubanks actually wasn't bad. 4 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. No turnovers on 2 for 4 shooting. He was actually moving his feet pretty well, switching on to guys like Luka and LeBron, who's plus 13. Our whole bench, actually, for the most part, outside of Jordan Miller and Kobe Brown, it's the opposite of last game. They were all in the positives in the plus-minus, which, again, shows you the plus-minus single game is just not a great statistic. But yeah, plus 19 for Batum, plus 13 for Eubanks, plus 10 Bogey, plus 4 Amir. And then the starters, Kawhi minus 10, Zubats minus 17, Harden, a team worst, minus 18, Norm minus 8 in the 9 minutes he played, and then Chris Dunn minus 5. But yeah, Zubats didn't get the ball enough. James Harden had 2 really bad games in a row. He's looking fatigued. He's got to take a step back. Kawhi Leonard was great. So going forward, I mean, look, we have one more game of this road trip against Phoenix. If we lose that game, it's going to be kind of a concern. We're 32-28 now through 60 games. We have 22 games left. The great news is Kawhi. Kawhi is looking better. Kawhi is looking more like himself. But we're the 6th seed, and we're 5 games back in the loss column of the Rockets, right? So I don't know if we're going to catch them, which means that we're going to lose our pick this year, and we're going to get this 30th pick in the draft because OKC's record is the best in the league, or 29th because Cleveland is 50-10. My God, 10-game winning streak. Wow, this is one of the best Cavaliers teams in history. It's wild. Check out Locked On Cavs, I guess. Maybe I should tune in more. But yeah, 32-28. 32-28 is our record. Golden State has the same record. They're on our tails. We got to get it together. We're going to end up in the play-in. And then we may not make the playoffs, and this whole year will be kind of a waste. Our first year into a dome, not selling out, not moving away from this direction, and we don't even get rewarded with playoff games. It's yikes. It's yikes mode. Like, we got to tighten up. And if Norm's out, I don't even know. We got a couple more back-to-backs left. Kawhi's going to miss him. Harden's going to just play him. You know what the answer to all this is? We got to play more through Zoo. This Phoenix game is huge. 2-6 on the road trip would be horrible. 3-5, it's not good, but it is what it is. It's not horrific, considering some of the teams we played too. But that's it for me in this one, ladies and gentlemen. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, NBA content. I went live directly after the game for my Raw reaction, and Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's get up to 7,000 subscribers before the season ends. And Locked On Clippers newsletter at lockedondaily.com. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers!